Pragya, are you there?
Yes.
I am making you the host. हाँ यार, ये अभी से लोग क्यों ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं?
हाँ आप या तो भी एंटर मत करना. You can pause the recording.
का
Question: will cramming theory and listening to lecture after lecture really prepare you for the true business world? Here's a hint. So, what will? Think about it. If medical students are trained by real doctors in real hospitals,
then why should learning business be any different?
this is Masters Union, a next generation business school where question. Will cramming theory and listening to lecture after lecture really prepare you for the true business world? Here's a hint. So, what will? Think about it. If medical students are trained by real doctors in real hospitals with real patients,
Then why should learning business be any different?
this is Masters Union, a next generation business school where learning happens both inside and outside the classroom.
where classes are taught by CXOs, unicorn founders, award-winning professors, and even members of the parliament.
So, how is Masters Union different from every other school or university? It's simple. We learn business
by doing business. Let me unpack that for you.
In term 1, we apply what we learn in class by building our own e-commerce stores through the drop shipping challenge.
Over here, we know that old textbooks don't teach modern marketing. So we learn it by running our own social channels that run up to hundreds or even thousands of followers.
We also learn the art of pitching by crafting and presenting our own TEDx talks.
He's talking about how we learn finance by running our own 5 crore fund, where we invest in startups, equities, and even in real estate.
Wow. From dosa chips to motorcycle service solutions, pharmaceutical supply chains to Golgappa franchisees, some businesses work, some don't. But learning by doing,
That always works.
our professors are industry leaders and our future recruiters. We learn fundraising from India's top VCs, navigating complexity from a NASA professor, and leading teams from an Indian Army veteran.
High class.
साउंड वाउंड ठीक आ रही है ना तुम्हारे को?
Branded content viral banana is like the last thing you should do.
You are not a leader if you don't upset a few people sometimes.
When it comes to entrepreneurship, speed over anything else.
Do you hire MBA students?
Absolutely, my own CEO is an MBA.
And the list goes on.
Concepts like design thinking aren't taught through presentations, but through the process of designing an actual AK-47.
So how's that for hands-on learning?
This innovative teaching method has enabled our seniors to crack top jobs like these in companies like Microsoft, Bain, BCG, and several other A-listers. Some of our friends have also gone on to create
Hi, Kate, can you hear me? I think you should be. क्या हो रहा है?
Oh, hi. Now I can.
Finally. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what a rush it was. I mean, is there somebody from my team? Mummy, are you here? Kate, are you able to start your video?
Okay, now it
So
started.
cool.
Hey,
So good to
good.
see you. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, man. Long time.
Yeah, really, time flies.
Where are you coming to India next?
Not clear. You made me a host because I received the joining request as well.
Now they will make you everything. They'll make you host, make you the royalty. I just spoke to my team. I said, "What are you doing? Our panelists are not able to unmute themselves. I mean, so how are they going to speak?" So I'm sure they are going to ensure that you are able to do everything that is required for you to be on the panel.
And for now, it's okay.
Perfect. So I think we also have the audience has joined in. So, I mean, thank you for doing that. This is a hugely popular topic for a webinar, Kate. I
We'll
mean,
see.
till about 5 minutes back, we had over almost 200 registrations.
Oh, okay.
So
Great.
this is going to be huge. And I think 50% are career counselors, almost 100 career counselors and 100 students from all over. So really exciting and very interesting bunch of people to talk to. And I'm sure we are going to have a interesting discussion.
Hope so. It's always good to hear, and especially questions. You know, when you hear questions, you learn so much. What is
Yep.
the use up there?
Yep. I'm so exciting. Now, next thing. Okay. Let me check with the other panelist. Rangma is coming. But you saw the message, Kate. I was so happy to read that message. You saw that message from my African kid from Ethiopia.
Yeah, I
Not
did.
been to Africa since last 1 year. I'm missing it already.
Yeah, you should go there.
We should.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's
Such a beautiful place. People have.
satisfaction.
I love that. Yeah, please go ahead.
Now, that's the biggest satisfaction when you receive those messages. You think that's why you work.
Absolutely. See, 10 years back, I still remember this was my first visit to Ethiopia. I went to this government school out of nowhere, and my job was to get, talented students to Ashoka University on full scholarships. And this girl comes around, I'm doing a session. I still remember it very fresh in my mind. She comes up to me and she says, is this real? I'm like, yes, this is real. We can take you to. And so happy. So to work for these institutions that enable this. I mean, we are so proud to have an opportunity to work for such institutions also. To create this ecosystem. God bless them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they are looking for, opportunities. And then when it comes and they take it and they make it work in their life, that's the aim, yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah. Hi, Nagma. Are you able to unmute yourself and switch on the camera? And Sumit also. Sumit, are you here? I hope you are able to unmute and switch on your cameras, please. Hi, how are you? We can see you. I hope you are able to unmute.
Yeah. Hi. Good afternoon. It's just that I always underestimate the traffic of Delhi and Gurgaon. So, yeah, sorry for being a little late, but yeah, I'm
No
here.
worries. You are absolutely on time, Nagma. I'm so happy that you are here. Are you also here? Can you please switch on your camera? Yeah. Hi, Sumit. Are you able to unmute yourself and switch on your camera?
Yes, sir, I can. Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you. Are you going to switch on your camera or you're going to do it later?
Just a second, just in a bit.
Okay. So once you switch on, we can have a formal introduction and then we'll be away.
Sure.
So we play a small video. This is the Masters Union brand videos till the people walk in. Let's take 5 minutes and then we'll be back.
Question. Will cramming theory and listening to lecture after lecture really prepare you for the true business world? Here's a hint. So, what will? Think about it. If medical students are trained by real doctors in real hospitals with real patients,
then why should learning business be any different?
this is Masters Union, a next generation business school where learning happens both inside and outside the classroom.
Where classes are taught by CXOs, unicorn founders, award-winning professors, and even members of the parliament.
So how is Masters Union different from every other school or university? It's simple. We learn business
by doing business. Let me unpack that for you.
In term 1, we apply what we learn in class by building our own e-commerce stores through the dropshipping challenge.
Over here, we know that old textbooks don't teach modern marketing. So we learn it by running our own social channels that run up to hundreds or even thousands of followers.
We also learn the art of pitching by crafting and presenting our own TEDx talks.
He's talking about how we learn finance by running our own 5 crore fund, where we invest in startups, equities, and even in real estate.
Wow. From dosa chips to motorcycle service solutions, pharmaceutical supply chains to Golgappa franchisees, some businesses work, some don't. But learning by doing,
that always works.
Our professors are industry leaders and our future recruiters. We learn fundraising from India's top VCs, navigating complexity from a NASA professor, and leading teams from an Indian Army veteran.
High class.
साउंड ठीक आ रही है ना तुम्हारे को?
Branded content viral banana is like the last thing you should do.
You are not a leader if you don't upset a few people sometimes.
When it comes to entrepreneurship, speed over anything else.
Do you hire MBA students?
Absolutely. My own CEO is an MBA.
And the list goes on. Concepts like design thinking aren't taught through presentations, but through the process of designing an actual AK-47.
So how's that for hands-on learning?
This innovative teaching method has enabled our seniors to crack top jobs like these in companies like Microsoft, Bain, BCG, and several other A-listers. Some of our friends have also gone on to create successful startups, raising millions of dollars in funding, and with classmates that you can network, partner, and collaborate with, and professors who are more than just your teachers. You never know when your next billion-dollar idea strikes. And where does a B school like this belong? In the middle of an award-winning business park, right next to the recruiters themselves.
So stop waiting to begin
and start learning
by doing.
Right here at Masters Union. I'll see you on the other side.
Hi, a very, very warm welcome to everyone joining in from around the world. Especially, this is true for this webinar. We have over 200 plus registrations from India, Middle East, and especially Africa. I think that's also got to do with the diverse and super talented bunch of panelists that we have from these three part of the world. I'm so happy. My name is Ankur. I'm the head of institutional partnerships at Masters Union, and I'm going to moderate this discussion over the course of next 55 minutes. My introduction to higher education is almost 15 years old. I have been in the past headed admissions and outreach at Ashoka University and OP Jindal Global University. I am also right now a faculty member at OP Jindal Global University with deep interest in research areas of marketing and higher education development. I am joined today by esteemed and a very distinguished panel. I'll just briefly introduce all three of them. Before introducing the subject, I have with me Ms. Nagma Khan. Nagma is from DPS International Edge, a leading school based out of Gurugram, known all over the world. She's part of the senior leadership team, head of college advisory, and has been a close friend for me for last 10 years and counting more. I'm also very happy to introduce my another dear friend from Africa, Kate. Kate is the Group University Admissions Manager at ENCO Group of Schools. She is a PhD herself, and she has done some fantastic work in global higher education, and especially her work with ENCO Group of Schools is amazing and inspires me. We have had the honor of hosting both Kate and Nagma at our campus at Masters Union in the past year. So I'm so happy that today we have both of them again as part of this conversation. My third guest is an industry veteran, Sumit. Sumit has been a serial entrepreneur, a technology enthusiast. He is our master at Masters Union. So also, he is doing some fantastic work with our students, helping them, navigate the journey of entrepreneurship, technology, and all things AI. I head to Sumit and I'm like, okay, anything AI that comes to me, I have to check with Sumit. So Sumit is based out of Dubai, and he has also worked in the past with leading organization, I think Microsoft. He's right now setting up his own startup, doing some fantastic work there, and we'll get to know more about that also in the course of next 50 minutes or so that we spend with this panel. So thank you so much. I could not have asked for a better panel. This is an all-star panel. I also want to recognize the amazing response to this webinar. I mean, there were 50 plus career counselors from top schools, India, Middle East, and abroad. Thank you, each one of you, for joining us. I can't name all of you, but I know I go through this list and I see it's so many talented career counselors taking time out for this discussion. It means a lot. Thank you for doing that. Thank you so much for my parents and students. There are more than 70 students and parents that have registered for this webinar, again, from across the world. Thank you so much for joining us. The questions that we have, I mean, we have almost 50 plus questions already for this subject. And I hope, if not all, we will try and address most of them through this conversation. The subject for this webinar is profile building for career building, optional or necessary. And when I was thinking of this subject and this title, I was, this is by choice that I put this title here, because profile building as a term has certain connotations. I am not a career counselor. I have always worked at the university side of things, but and university admissions offices, be it at Ashoka or OP Jindal or right now at Masters Union. And whenever a student application comes to us, we try and go beyond just the academics. That's my forte. And I always understood that going beyond academics is good for the student. But then one fine day, one student walked up to me, and I was, and a parent was there, and he was from the CBSE background, which is a public education system in India, like IB and Cambridge, and one of the largest boards of K-12 education. And he said, you know what you are trying to do with these new age universities, you are creating more pressure for the students. And I was like, why? He said, till now, we only needed to focus on marks. Now you are telling us you have to do marks plus plus. So 90% is not enough. You have to have maybe 3 other things or 4 other things. I had never thought about profile building term till that aspect of it, but that got me thinking and got me to realize that there is a deeper sense to this term called profile building. So I'm going to stop here and invite my panel to with this short story. I'll straight away invite Nagma. Nagma, you are a leading career counselor. I think thousands of students you would have guided over the last many years. What is your, what do you think about this term, profile building? Is this the correct term?
This is quite interesting, Ankur. And the moment you shared the topic for today's discussion, it brought a smile to my face because it's been quite a while now, almost 15 years in this zone. However, this is one term that we are still trying to figure out because it's also a term which is very dynamic in nature. How we approached it a decade ago has changed completely now. And when you say profile, there's so many synonyms of it that is there in the, I don't know whether to call it a market, but when we talk about admissions, applications. So these days I'm also listening to something called as CLA, that is community learning experience. And then there are multiple and they are acronyms, so I get very confused. However, we go back to it, all boils down to profile of a student. And when we talk profile, it is something that is very, it goes with what we call as an identity of a student. And that is something that we figured out while interacting with different universities when we tried to understand what are they looking for. To be very honest, that was the point from where we started, because we wanted to, have our students placed in XYZ universities. And when we started asking them, what do you mean by this term? The term either profile building or a good fit. And some of them says it's beyond academics. So we really wanted to understand what exactly that means. And that is when we realized that what they are looking for are actually, they want to understand a student better. Okay, they want to understand the student better than, those 2-3 papers that we send to them, a transcript, LOR. They want to know the student better than that. And that is when we realize that what the universities are looking at is actually who the student really is. Okay. And so when you also asked me one question, that question was whether it is, and this is the title of today's talk, is whether it is necessary or not. So honestly, whether we are going to use the term profile building or not, but to have an identity is important. Okay, have to convey to universities that this is who I am is important. Okay, and that goes beyond those grades that the students get in a certain examination, and certain standardized testing. It goes beyond that. So that is from where the whole emergence of profile building actually happened. However, you know how everything can be used and misused, everything has their pros and cons. So if you actually start talking to some people in this field, you will also start hearing about a checklist. Where is that checklist? I've not got it yet, honestly. Okay, because the moment you start going after that checklist, you have lost it. You have completely lost it. It's like, how you say that the moment you'll say I'm humble, humility will run away from there. It's something like that. So that checklist is a facade. Okay. So how do I, to cut it short, how do I look at profile and profile building? I use 3 terms, which I think are super important. First is authentic. It is about who the individual is, who the student is. What is it that the student is bringing on the plate? Okay. So the first word for me is authentic, and that's very important. So maybe something in Ankur and me, maybe it could be similar, but it can never be the same. So the first one is authentic. The second term is impact. How does it impact anyone in any way? Okay. So whether that impact is an inner thing, an impact that changed the person, or whether that impact is something that goes beyond that individual, that goes to close circle, or whether that impact goes from close circle to a community. And that community could be any community. So the second word is impact. And the third word is coherence. Okay, so bring it together, make it meaningful. You know, a lot of time in the quest of checking those boxes, we get across these profile, you call it profile, you call it CV, you call it an individual details. You're like, oh my God, that student went to and, conquered Mount Everest, and then they went and they did some business trial, and then they became some lit fest president. You are not able to wrap your mind around it. So when I say coherent, I also mean it needs to be relevant, needs to be something that fits in the journey of the individual. So 3 words for me: authentic, impactful, and coherent. So that's how I define profile, and that's the beginning of profile building for me, and most of the journey of profile building for me with students.
Wonderful, Nagmaji. I think this is amazing. In 5 minutes, you summarized so beautifully articulated it so easily for our audience. I think even a layman can understand now what you meant, what profile building means to you, and absolutely, totally in sync with you. Thank you for doing that and setting off this conversation in that interesting fashion. To my friend in Africa, Kate, over to you, my friend. What is the view? I mean, you have again spent, many, many years. Thousands of students have been counseled by you, and you are, leading career counseling at a big school chain in Africa, ENCO. And what does, same question for you. What does the term profile building mean to you?
Thank you, Ankur. Very warm greetings and welcome to everybody on the call. Thank you for joining and took interest in that session. I definitely want to extend what was already said here. So the profile building, for me, it's a process. And it's a process that cannot be done in 1 week. So it takes a couple of years for a student to achieve something. Definitely, profile building is a general term that can be used in many different contexts. So what does it mean in our context as a university admission domain, and how do we approach that? So first of all, we need to realize, what does it mean? It means that you are actually building, trying to establish and trying to, as it was said, like assemble or put together your identity for the universities to showcase your academic abilities, your personal qualities, your extracurricular achievements, your authenticity in this process. We all know that our domain and field is become quite big and very competitive. So when we are talking about the authenticity of the essay writing event, why do we put so much stress on that? Because we explain to students that transcripts and grades, they might be very similar with the thousands of students, but you need to kind of catch the attention of the admissions officer at that particular university by showcasing yourself as a learner, as a person, as an all-rounded individual. So this is the most important part of profile building. So they need to understand the goal, why they are doing that. On top of that, I would say that the profile building process is another amazing opportunity for the students themselves to do better self-exploration. Sometimes to the very simple question, what do you want? You will not get straight away answer in like maybe 90% cases, because this is so difficult, because even we adults, we've been in so many industries and we cannot answer that question straight away. So we kind of ask and push 17, 18-year-old kids to give us the straight away answer, which is not realistic. So profile building process will be a amazing self-discovery opportunity for the students as well. That's why, I mean, rather than pushing students to wrap and package all their achievements, it probably will be better to start encouraging them. Okay, you might want to try go and, I don't know, take music classes, or might want to try like a tutor your young siblings. Okay, you will see, I mean, what environment, what appeals to you, where you find yourself better way. Because when those things happen, we see so rapid changes in students' interests and in their future vision of the roles, because they not necessarily see the work environment of the profession as it is. Yeah, that's why we're doing career fairs. So we have professionals talking to them, how does it feel to be in that career? Okay, because for like I say, very, very, very maybe famous example, like when they see the lawyers, they maybe refer to some very well staged movies when these lawyers and prosecutors or the judges are on a very nice showcase room, which is maybe the tip of the iceberg and what is the major work of that profession. So I think, yeah, it's an opportunity for students for showcase and the better opportunity to explore themselves.
Absolutely, Kate. I love what you had to say. I think I love that when you started, you said it is a process. I mean, a lot of the times parents and students also come up to me and say, I want to do this profile building in next 1 week. And I'm like, I mean, it doesn't work like that. I think you said there are no immediate answers. I'm profile building. If we are using that term, it should be a process that is used to explore different career paths, different, strengths or interests or whatever. I mean, but you take that time and maybe you can articulate it better. I think Nagma also, when she started that profile building, closest is the identity of a student. What is that identity that you want to showcase, that you want to finalize? Okay, this is what I want to do. And you are right. I mean, we, after years of working also, are still probably, if we use that term, profile building ourselves, I mean, exploring different aspects, learning, unlearning, relearning, and then trying something again. I think, so this is not a university specific process. A profile building or finding out your true self or identity, and this process will continue for most of our life. I think those are the most successful people that keep doing this, exploring themselves. I mean, we are so complex. Human beings are so complex that we keep on identifying new strengths about ourselves, our weaknesses. So I'm so happy, both of you, Nagma and Kate, for articulating profile building so nicely in your opening remarks. Now over to my dear friend Sumit from Dubai. Sumit ji, I'll love to bring you in, and you have been working with so many of our students. You have been, you yourself have studied at IIT, IIMs and Harvard, and I mean, serial entrepreneur. And so you tell me, what will be your suggestions, probably briefly, about profile building, and what is it that you are doing at Masters Union to help students profile build or identify their strengths or weaknesses, whatever it is?
And thanks, Ingu. Thanks for bringing me in. And Kate and Nagma, I can't possibly agree more with your opening remarks. Of knowing a student, what Nagma mentioned, that's really what the crux of everything is. How good you are actually able to know someone, and that's really where the big fill in the blank sits. And it's a two-way that you have to fill in this particular blank, because the students themselves don't know who they are. The parents don't know who the kids are. The teachers don't know who the student is. And now everyone is trying to help this person do a career, simulation and trying to figure out where should you go and what should you do. And that's one thing which I learned very early on at IIT Delhi. And I'm a musician. A lot of people don't know that. I'm a very serious musician post 8 p.m. Now I've started to call it post 8 p.m. because if I would be like pre 8 p.m., then people would have doubts. Exactly what Nagma mentioned, right? That you've gone to Mount Everest and you've done this. I've done all of that. Trust me. And I'm still trying to figure out who am I and what do I want to do.
Absolutely.
So that said, the kids don't know who they are. And the only one way as faculties, as parents, as elders, as advisors that we can do is that we can actually help them, give them a free space to make mistakes. Because the moment they start to make mistakes and they start to explore possibilities is when they start to learn in the process of who they are. While they may not really eventually get to the point that, like when we do drop shipping at Masters Union, there are some people who thrive in that, in that particular exercise. Some get to learn technology a lot better. So there are multiple colors of the outcome that eventually come out of that whole piece. And we also see that, and this is not just one part of it, the ones who have been amazing at communication, they eventually would want to learn technology because they want to now build a startup. So they eventually come back to tech. The folks who did great at technology, they want to come back to communication and brand because now they're building a startup all over again, and now they want to brand their startup. So that's the kind of work we are doing essentially at Masters Union as a faculty. So I teach product management, AI. Now I'm working on design, and that's the whole track that we've done. And everything AI is basically where I kind of fit in. So Ankur has been very kind with various answers that I give him. Every time he asks me a question, I give him a different answer. And then the question is, okay, this has changed. The AI is changing that fast. Where AI can really help kids to really outshine, right, is because now you don't need an advisor to eventually be your soundboard. You can talk to an agent, which can then you can design an agent. You can talk to an agent in a way that the agent actually guides you in a certain fashion. You can build stuff very quickly without spending millions of dollars. You can test it out in the market with your friends and family and colleagues. There are so many ways in which AI can be used in not just a startup, but otherwise as well. And that really is what I feel when we start to work on the profile part of kids. My first question that I typically ask them is that, hey, what is it that you want to do? Forget about how you want others to read your file. The big question is what do you want to do? And we'll get to the storytelling part later. And that's really where all the work that we've done, that we are doing with MU, is really adding up and giving them that free space wherein they are able to do these mistakes and then eventually realize who they are and find themselves. Now, just to kind of very quickly summarize that answer. Ankur, I'm not sure if I pinpointedly bolted down on that response that you were looking for, maybe a little wider, but
No. So Sumit, you absolutely, I mean, you brought in your own perspective from the industry. And I think that is very, very important. When you say fill in the blank, and parents don't know, the teacher do not know, what is it that the student does not know? What is it that maybe they have a broad idea, maybe they do not. If you go back to my school days, I didn't have any idea on what is it that I want to do in life. And I'm like, okay, anybody can come to me. I used to joke when I go to schools. I said, I did my career decisions based on a simple method that you all use on laptops. It's called Control C, Control V. है ना, चाचा जी यहाँ गए थे, उसके बाद वो they went to this college, they went to this job, they are happy doing whatever it is. So I did that. I think a lot of us in India, especially in my generation, when we didn't have access to, and this is 20 years back, no internet, no social media, no access to institutions like Masters Union, no access to the world at your fingertips. We used to do this, that whatever was in easiest to be known, we used to do that, copy paste our career choices. But I'm happy that now you are here And Masters Union is here, and Nagma is here, and Kate is here, and so many other awesome career counselors are here to help and advise and guide our students and help filling in those blanks, freedom to make mistakes. And we do a fab job of helping students understand what they want to do. I mean, I'm being very, this may come out as boastful, but I think we are the only institution that does such fantastic high school profile building, or whatever you want to call it, programs. And I just want to bring in my dear colleague Pragya from my admissions and outreach team. Pragya, if we can all reflect on the last 30 minutes, we had a beautiful discussion. I want to give the audience also some 5-minute breather before we deep dive again. You can talk about briefly about the programs that we do are doing starting April for summer and profile building. Please, over to you.
Yes, so first of all, thank you so much everyone for being here for this insightful session, and especially to all the speakers for taking out your time and guiding us. I'm Pragya, and keeping the current discussion of profile building in mind, I'm going to tell you about two important profile building programs that Masters Union offer for students of grades 8 to 12 that will help them build their profile and be ready for their bright futures ahead. I'm going to start by introducing Test Drive to you all. As the name suggests, you get a test drive to different careers before actually committing to it. So Test Drive brings together 12 industry leaders from top companies like Amazon, JP Morgan, IBM, Aditya Birla Ventures, and many more to give students an inside look into their work life and their careers. This will help students make better informed decisions. They might have heard of marketing, but they probably don't know what happens in marketing. So here they make a choice and be sure of it because they get to experience it themselves. It's like, entering Baskin Robbins, trying out all different flavors, and then picking the one that you love the most. So you know what top 5 flavors you'll go for the next time, and you know why you hate mint chocolate chip. So that's the whole idea of Test Drive. Once you know what works for you, you'll be better prepared for what directions and what subjects you have to choose to reach there. And of course, our mentors, our industry leaders will guide you on that. You'll get access to real life simulations to try out. For example, if you talk about strategy consulting, you actually design a strategy for a headphone company. So you actually do things by yourself. So the program is completely online, and from 2 to 4 p.m. every Saturday from 19th April. Just by spending 2 hours every Saturday, let me share the amazing outcomes that you're going to get. First of all, students meet startup founders, VCs, and industry leaders from, again, companies like Bain, Amazon, KPMG. And these leaders will become their counselors. So you get to understand what those careers hold. You get to do real world simulations, and you get personalized career analysis to identify your strengths and your ideal career paths. This was one of our programs. Moving on, let us talk about something very relevant for all the entrepreneurs in the house, who have that knack for business. I have another amazing profile building program here, which is certification in entrepreneurship. So it's a 12-week program where students launch their own e-commerce business on Shopify. They run Instagram ad campaigns by themselves, and they also generate real revenue. It is again guided by top industry mentors from companies we all know about, like Noise, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and many, many more. Unlike any other startup camp, that only talks about ideation and how to do all of this in theory, we make them actually do things by themselves. It's like learning how to swim. You only can do that once you jump into the water. So we let all our students become those swimmers, and they jump into the world of business. Students create and market their own e-commerce startup using Shopify, Meta Ad Managers, and Figma. They make real money from product selections to sales to operations to logistics. Everything is handled by students themselves. They understand the business cycle themselves. And by the way, some even cross even 1 crore in revenue. Can you imagine? We help them showcase their products to customers in the dropshipping fair that we organize at a very prestigious Gurgaon venue. And students get an industry recognized certificates to stand out in their college applications. And that's just not it. Our top performing teams stand a chance to win awards worth 10 lakh rupees. So I know you might be thinking this is all too good to be true. So I just have a very short clip that will show you how, Masters Union envisions, what Masters Union envisions. And I think this clip will help you understand that.
unicorn startups, 90 days and over ₹1 crore. This is the dropshipping challenge by Masters Union. Instead of sitting in classrooms, we spent our first term building over a dozen e-commerce companies, selling products like lemon chutney, flea stockings, and even high-tech drones. We have learned how to hunt for products, make websites, and run ads online.
We have done everything to maximize our revenues and profits, from negotiating with vendors to gate crashing CXO meetings, and even chasing customers in a cute panda costume. In just 90 days, we have sold almost 100 types of products to more than 10,000 customers.
And for the final showdown, we're hosting the Dropshipping Mela at Worldmark Gurgaon, where we sell our products to customers face to face.
मान जाते हैं तब लिया करो ना.
This is a 500 rupee note. They find an advertisement for our stall.
That's all.
7 successful customers till now. More to come.
So let's learn business by doing business. Apply to Masters Union undergraduate.
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yep.
So you can stop sharing the screen.
Sure. I'm going to share all the details in the chat box. So if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you, Pragya. I think, I mean, these are just 2 of the programs, and there are, I think, 3, 4 more. And so Pragya leads our entire admissions and outreach for our profile building, summer programs, and everything under the sun, which is not the undergraduate program. And the 2 programs that she showcased you, I think the first test drive is the easiest. Online, every weekend, 2 hours, industry professionals from Bain, McKinsey, and all these top companies come and speak about what is it like to be working as a product consultant or a strategy consultant or a corporate finance guy. So this is amazing. And the second one that she showed, the entrepreneurship one, in 3 months, actually a student can have a running business. The outcome of that program is that if you have a program, a business idea, and you want to execute it, we will be the incubator where you can come and work with our mentors like Sumit and others on the board who will help students guide and advise and mentor their business ideas and take it to fruition. And they also have an opportunity to get VC funded, have exposure to the larger ecosystem around. So I think these 2 programs are amazing, starting in April. And Pragya can share more details over emails and WhatsApp, whichever works. But now I come to the really interesting part of this conversation. Not that we were not having fun till now. I mean, it's been amazing. We have already touched 40-minute mark almost. But there are so many questions that have arrived and from some of the leading career counselors, and I like to start taking all of them. The audience on the call, please, if you want to ask your question, you can either type it in the chat box. We will have an opportunity in another 10 minutes where we will ask you to unmute yourself and you can ask it live, whatever way works. But we already have about 100 pending questions. So I'm going to spend 10 minutes on those questions, and then we are going to take the live audience questions. So keep those questions coming in. I'm going to just segue into and start this this segment by asking the already questions that have been asked to us. So starting with the Nagma, we can have a couple of questions your way. I mean, my dear friend Lavina Mathur from Pathway School, she has asked how to build, and hi Lavina, if you are there, amazing career counselor doing great work at Pathway Schools, Aravali, how to build a well-rounded profile for universities, Nagma ji. And I think there are a couple of other questions around the same line. How to do profile building when the child is still undecided on the career goals. This is from Mano Ejek from Enco Schools. For which country SOP or student profile is mandatory? This is from Amuta from the Indian Public School. So, I mean, what do you will suggest to these career counselors?
Okay, so the first one, which is from Lavina, hi Lavina, is about how do you build the ideal kind of profile for a university?
Yeah.
So it's actually a two-way thing. When we are working with a student, we are also looking at the universities or sometimes the courses the student is going to apply for. So we make it, it's kind of a fit kind of thing. So it's basically what is going to be a good fit? What are those puzzles called in which you have two pieces and they kind of get together and then you solve the puzzle? I've seen it's a lot of children, they play it. So that is what we do. We kind of look at what the university is looking at, and then we also look at what the students' individualistic aptitude and attitude is all about. And that is when we, in the whole process also, we match them to. So in this process, the profile or whatever the individuality of the student that we are working on, it goes with fitting it with the university or the courses that the student is going to flourish in. That's how this whole combination come together. So to be very honest, I'm going to reframe the question to saying that rather than how to make the ideal profile, I'm going to say how to identify and select the good fit. That's how we work on it. So that's the first question. The second was still undecided.
Yeah.
That's the most interesting one. I love working with those students because that kind of is a place of immense possibilities for us. And that is where, and honestly, that's the most of it. As Sumit said, that they don't know what they want. Parents don't know what they want. When we meet them, we don't know what they want. So it's actually, if you look at it, it's a very unfortunate thing. We are deciding it with children who are between 15 to 18 years of age. And that's when we are working with them. That's still the time when their cognitive abilities are still, building up. Their forebrain is still under growth. So it is interesting to explore it together and find a path. So that is still undecided. It's very exciting to work with them. However, there's no formula that I can give. Honestly, after so many years too, it is something in which we spend time with students, and trust me, we find a direction. And that comes from a lot of interaction and understanding an individual. I'm reiterating, there's no checklist. So it's not about, okay, this is checklist A, you know what you want to do, take checklist A, do this. This is checklist B, you don't know what you want to do, take checklist B. There's nothing like that. The whole, I think one of the major effort that goes into it is understanding a student, an individual, and then finding the right path for the individual. So yes, certainly I think 70% of our students are still undecided what to do. But we start working with them, and we also start working with having meaningful experiences. Rather than, Ankur, there's another term that I really like using, and I use it a lot rather than profile building. I call it as meaningful experiences.
Wonderful. I love it already.
So so we create meaningful experiences. We invest our time to identify and let our students have their meaningful experiences. So that's something that we do. SOP, you asked something about which are the
countries, yeah, they require SOP or
so
student.
SOP has it takes different forms. So when we are talking about UK, we are talking about personal statement. Personal statement is what a student writes, which is a type of SOP, in which the student talks only about the course or the career that the student would like to get into, and that in which they show all their meaningful experiences relevant, pertinent to the course they are applying for. So that's UK. When US, they are talking about, they write essays, which is a different form of SOP. And in those essays, they talked about their holistic growth. Okay. The European countries do look at a mix of sometimes personal statement kind of SOP, and sometimes they have their own prompts. So that's in a nutshell the countries. And then there are other countries also. Singapore, they don't write any SOP.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Akbar. Quickly moving on to, let's bring in Sumit from a different perspective, and then we'll go to Kate. Sumit, this was a question that was asked to me also. I was meeting a couple of school leaderships from leading schools in Cochin today in the morning, and they asked me, Masters Union, can it offer industry experience to my students? We are so far away from Delhi. We are in Cochin, and how will my students travel? And my dear friend, Poonam Bedi, from James Wellington School in Doha. Hi, Poonam, if you are around. She heads the career counseling there and is a dear friend in Qatar. She has also asked the similar questions. How can do industries offer database research for students? How can they experience corporate culture while they are still in school? So, what is it that industry, and even I know for a fact, Masters Union, we are doing some great work here to enable industry connect with the high school students. Can you shed some light here?
Certainly, Ankur. So, a couple of things that can be done, and there's definitely the missing piece in a lot of places is this LinkedIn profile. So, one is that students to totally make a LinkedIn profile and put all the work that you're doing there, so that people get to know what you're working on and what your skill sets are. Once that is in place, there's definitely, given the outreach that MU has with all these startup founders, with the courses that we are doing, what we are teaching is, so there is drop shipping, there is also the product management piece that we teach. We help people actually build the entire product, be it an e-commerce or otherwise, to kind of build these live projects help you to eventually develop a skill set which is actually very, very important in the industry. And it's not just about data side per se, but also maybe doing some design for that matter. Like we go deep in Figma, or maybe when you're doing Airtable for data management, or when you're doing software for building your entire end-to-end web portals. So those experiences help you to leverage and showcase it to the masses. When you reach out to anyone, and I believe the career counseling team is also getting beefed up. We already have one, but there's more action there, who can help you to eventually get to the right kind of person and the contact that you can eventually directly apply for an internship. Now the question is, can a 12th pass, can a undergrad, second year, third year bring in valuable, meaningful contributions to the overall setup? Now, there are two narratives to that. One is that even after 10 years of work experience, probably you're not able to bring in a meaningful contribution to the workforce. But that's a very different piece altogether. What's more important is, which is where the first narrative is important, that you should be willing to learn and then be able to apply the stuff that you're actually doing in in the setup in which you are joining. More often than not, you would essentially be getting the first internship as a data operator or as a data analyst profile.
Yeah.
Even if you are a venture capitalist in track, or you're a consulting track, or you're on a chief of staff track, or a product management track, irrespective of whichever track you go to, the first most important skill set that you need to learn is data handling, cleaning of data, structuring the data, and then being able to build on top of it. So if you really want to fast track, my one and only advice is that learn how to play in MS Excel.
Absolutely.
That really becomes the most important thing. And then structured and unstructured data, that piece comes in. Right? Sorry, Ankur, you're saying something. I kind of cut
I'm
you
just
there.
saying, thank you so much. I mean, that's such a good piece of advice. I mean, learning how to work with Excel should be, should be the basics of starting anything to do in life, because I mean, even today, I use Excel so extensively, and I've worked, and I'm sure all of us do. So having and cleaning the data, being comfortable with the data, filtering the data. So absolutely wonderful advice. We are just running short of time, so I'll quickly move on to the next questions and spend Kate. I'll bring you in for these. Now we are entering the student questions that we already have. I love this question that came in from a student from DCM International School in Punjab. What is that one piece of advice you wish you received in your high school? Kate, you can take this up if you want to.
I wish I had a counselor in general. The opportunities probably. Somebody told me that there is, for example, liberal arts education exists. You could explore it. Probably variety of education styles, because only maybe the limited options that I had when I graduated from school.
I love this question. I think if I was to answer it, lovely answer, Kate. But if I was to answer it, I will say, somebody should have told me don't rush for life. I mean, as everybody mentioned it, just trust the process, enjoy the journey, and don't look for that immediate gratification that right across. Like in India, we say, do this and then your life is set. Go to this place and your life is set. I think that's the biggest lie that we tell our students. You have to continue working every day, and the more you receive in life, the harder you have to work to ensure that it continues the way it is. So I think that will be my answer. I'm sure Nagma and Sumit will have their own answers, but I'm not going to go there because we're running short of time. Another very interesting question comes from a student from DPS RK Puram. Okay, we'll first go to Alia Chandok, for a student at Heritage Experiential School in Delhi. How to balance heavy academics and busy extracurriculars at once? And I think that's what I also alluded to, that it's very difficult. We are setting unrealistic expectations for our students to not only get great marks, but also now start doing XYZ things, as you were saying, ticking the buckets and ensuring that we have that also apart from the academics. Kate, what will be your take?
You know what? Yeah, that's the kind of overdoing something never works. So because we know that the academic achievement is number kind of the top things that they need to show to universities. On the other hand, what I would say, they always need to find the balance. They should not commit to something that requires, for example, 50% of their time, because it is not realistic. On the other hand, those types of experiences will be questioned by the universities as well, how the students could do something so deep and extensive that required that much time. For the students, I would like to say, so the internship or whatever experience you take is not the name and it's not the course itself, what you're doing, but your experience and the skills you learn from those extracurricular engagement. So it does not have to be something very big and complex to prove that it's valuable.
Yes.
You need to prove the value of your extracurricular experience based on your learning. So while you're writing college motivation essay or even personal statement, and you want to reflect on some of those things, reflect on experience that you had there, and not only the fact that you participate in some of those activities. That's how you find the meaning.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kate. And, we'll now go to the questions in the chat. But I want to resonate with what Kate just said. And I think what Nagma also said at the start, 3 steps. You have to be authentic. You need to measure the impact, and you also need to have a coherent approach to whatever you are doing. It's not going to be, running from one activity to another activity to another activity, which doesn't make sense. And what Kate said is absolutely right. It does not have to be a big chunk of your time being devoted to multiple activities. It can be one activity, you focused activity that you are building and that resonates with you also. So, I mean, it's part of balancing. I think very difficult to answer this question in a generic space. I think this is the best we can do, but work with your career counselor if you have access to the same, and help them advise you on how you can build your profile also while managing your academics. Now, going to the questions in the chat. If anybody wants to ask the question live, please raise hand. We'll unmute you and you can ask your question, but I'm straight away diving into the questions in the chat that are coming in. Okay, so the first question that is there in the chat is Anju Rajput ji, which is the right class to start the profile building process from? I think anybody wants to take this up quickly. Maybe Nagma can take this up. What is the right class for people to start building their profile?
So honestly, there's no right class. It is about identifying if you are working with your child or if you are the student, you have to start spending more time in something that you either enjoy, you think you have a passion for, or you think that is something that is beyond your academic curriculum. And then you connect with someone who can help you in connecting it with either to a community outreach program or something to enhance your identity or profile as we are talking about. But start doing something that you enjoy doing that is also meaningful. I'm going to again use the term that is meaningful, and then start connecting with someone who can help you with fitting it in the whole picture. However, that's the first approach. The second approach is, say by grade 9 you are only studying. That is a time when you can have a conversation with someone who can help you identify some meaningful experiences.
Wonderful. And I know
I'm sorry. I want to really add on this question because talking from African perspective, guys, I know like in India, you have even a huge variety of choices of those experiences, but we are working with very, very limited resources. So I just want to advise to students. So don't look for those personal experiences and meaningful experiences, which is absolutely correct approach outside somewhere. Look inside in your daily life, because I am sure you are doing every day something that you take as granted, but you do have that unique skill and unique experience, which is only yours. So think about your uniqueness and don't generalize your life and your experience with what everybody is doing around you.
Wonderful, Kate. Thank you so much. That's a lovely addition to what Nagma said. Amazing. So there are a couple of questions before we go to Alia. Alia, you have raised your hand. We'll come to you. But let's quickly answer the questions. Arna Bajpai, if I do an internship in a certain field, but later in life, I don't pursue that field, will the internship I did still be relevant? I mean, I was an engineer at one point of time. 4 years I was doing coding. Now I've left that, doing something completely different. So I'm sure that is relevant. Mayur Gupta has sent me a DM. How to convince firms to allow me to join as an intern in order to enhance our application and profile. Sumit ji, how can students reach out to you in the industry and request you to take them as interns?
See, the easiest is to go to interviewclub.co and book some time on my calendar. But my calendar gets filled ASAP, so the availability is really low. But that's the easiest piece. And a lot of people, if you go on LinkedIn today, they have their own personal calendars updated just below their profile picture. More often than not, you can just click on it and book anybody's time from that matter. And in case if you're not able to reach out to us, reach out to MU, and maybe we can get that connect in place for you.
And thank you, Sumit. I think if you get a slot for a meeting with Sumit, nothing like it. That's hitting jackpot. So I know he's a busy man. So many students want to have time with him. And he's doing, as I said in my initial remarks, he's doing some fantastic work in guiding young talent. I think one piece of advice, I also get reached out to by hundreds of students every year on my LinkedIn, sending me DMs. We want this, we want this. To be honest, I mean, in the limited time we have, I think it will be helpful if you do not send us generic messages. You do not expect instant gratification. Okay, give me an intern in Microsoft or whatever. I mean, whichever place. I mean, it does not work like that. If you can solve a problem, you can just first analyze the profile. Sumit said LinkedIn. Just analyze that profile and go through what kind of post I'm doing, what kind of Google me. what kind of work I'm doing. And probably you can add to my work and say, okay, hey, you are doing this. Probably I will be able to help you in this way. And I don't have any expectation. There is a beautiful book called Give and Take by Adam Grant. And you should all read that book. He says, first give to, then expect something in the return, or don't even expect that you will get something in the return. And that is how universe works. So Pele, I hope this, if somebody is listening, Give and Take is the book you should read. And it's a beautiful book on networking. But yeah, moving on. There was one student who wanted to ask the question live. Alia, here. You can actually unmute yourself if you are here. If you are not able to unmute, my team, can you check if Alia is able to unmute herself? But otherwise, I have her question in the chat also. How important is service for your profile, and how do you build a good service portfolio as well as part of your profile? The question is not really clear. Sumit, you have something here? How important is service for your profile?
It depends on what do you mean by service, actually. And which is where I'll go to Nagma's point of meaningful services.
Yeah.
Right. So any form of service is important. So that's being a little more philosophical. But how do you contextualize it? How do you make it more
Sumit,
relevant?
sorry, Alia is here.
Yeah.
Probably we can hear her add the context. Alia,
Perfect.
go ahead.
So my question was basically how important is service activities like community service and that kind of thing for your profile, and how exactly do you do that and sort of balance that alongside everything else, and what are some good platforms to maybe build that?
Got it. So community services and community projects that you can take up on Alia is definitely very important. For a couple of reasons, and what it kind of, if you're doing a few community projects, it tells me that you're a team player, you're someone who's coachable, you're someone who can lead, you're someone who can resolve conflicts, because community is all about conflicts. It also means that you can be motivated for a common goal. So there are a couple of those pillars or parameters that it really tells me, without really telling me, that you're everything while you're doing a community service. So that's definitely very important. Which platforms to do and reach out to? There is one which is ISEC that used to be in my time at IIT, which would basically bring all the students and then do internships there. There is Art of Living. There is SpicMeke for music. There are a lot of other platforms who would typically give a lot of projects. You can even list yourself as one on Fiverr.com or a freelancer.com. If you think that you're really good at, say, Figma, or you're really good at making reels, we keep hiring interns to make reels, for example, to create engaging content for our brand. So there are those kind of ways in which you can reach out. We have a huge community of product managers and AI leaders. We can probably float a few of those interest areas there as well. But I haven't come across as such which would any platform. Maybe it's a great opportunity to even make one, to have a community or a project listing or discovery platform wherein students can just come and register for themselves. So I probably would route it to Ankur, and maybe he has more experience of looking at the community from a student's perspective. But as a short answer, community service projects are very, very important, and they would definitely, I would value these over individual projects, if you ask me.
Absolutely. And I would have loved to answer, but we are already above the time. So I'm not going to take this up here because there are so many questions and I know we are running short of time. We are above time, but I'm still going to take another, probably with permission from my other three panelists. Those who are here, we can just take another 3-4 minutes before we close, because I see a lot of questions. I don't want to disappoint my students that are here already from all these schools. So let's quick questions on the voice. Khushant, go ahead. What is your question? Go ahead.
Good evening, sir. So my question is it good for doing internships in coding and business in class 12th, as it is a board class?
Absolutely. Who stops you from doing, and this is what I want to say. I mean, you need to understand and balance your academics. Absolutely. And your interest in, let's say, if you have identified coding, so that's the area that you want to devote your time in. But the main idea is then work with your teachers or whoever is it that is guiding you to work out a schedule that works for you. We have all got enough time in this world. Let me also address this. I mean, we have 24 hours. We sleep for only 8 hours. Students can sleep 8 hours. We adults can sleep 8 hours. Apart from that, we have the whole 16 hours with us to do whatever it is that we want to do. If we stop doing reels, if we stop making our mind wander to different nonsense that we all keep thinking about, and just focus on work, you will ace your board exams, you will get your coding done, and you will also get a couple of other things done along with whatever it is that you want to do. First is control your mind, control your senses, and manage your time. That is what I will say for this question. And you can reach out to me on LinkedIn probably, or email me. We'll have a separate conversation on how you can do this better. But manage your senses and time well. Okay, so how much, I just want to go through chat again, how to manage time in 12th standard with studies and internships. I think we have addressed this. Jasneet, what kind of career related awareness sessions can be conducted? Please reach out to Pragya. I think she will help you with a lot of sessions we do. If I want to do psychology, what can work for me? Anushka Agarwal. Okay. While building profile, again, we have answered you. Internship. Okay. While building a profile for technology, university should include only my achievements and experience in tech, or other skills like music, interest, film production. Pragyan. So Lagma, we'll close with this question. You can have the last say on this, the profile for a technology university and then psychology question. I think these two questions, and then we'll call it.
So when we are working with a student, we also look at the destination where the student is aiming to be, because this question will change, the response to this question will change according to the destination. If it is, we are looking at countries like US, then we are looking at a holistic personality and profile. But at the same time, there need to be, as I said, it needs to be coherent. So whatever is going on, it needs to be connected also. So that is something more like 90% connected. Sometimes there will be things which will be off, which, and it's not off, but it's something that will add to the diversity. However, if it is UK we are looking at, they only look at things that are relevant to the course. So be very clear with that. Indian universities also, where they are looking at essays and where they are looking at profile. I think Indian universities are the most liberal in that. They are looking at what I keep on referring to, meaningful experience. But it all makes sense when it is relevant. It is relevant to your personality. It is relevant to what the field you have chosen, and it all comes together. So that's the first thing, Ankur. The second was psychology.
Psychology. Yeah.
Okay.
What can we do?
So I am a person who have studied psychology for 8 years, and after working as a therapist psychologist, now I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm also teaching psychology. So it's a subject that is very close to my heart. So what can work for psychology? Psychology, if you are looking at collecting meaningful experiences, I will say that maybe I will take something from Kate and say start from people around you or opportunities around you in which you can bring in some practices that can help you understand the psychological concepts better. And that you can, from where you will understand what psychological concepts I'm talking about, that will come from your curriculum. Whatever curriculum you are studying, I'm sure you will be studying psychology. That's why you're looking at that. So for that, you just look at something that you are already learning and try to practice it from around you. There are hospitals that are doing psychology internship or summer school. So there's Fortis that every year is doing psychology internship if you want to look at that. And then there are certain hospitals that give some observationship too. So yeah, for psychology, you can look at these things.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's about the time we had. It was an amazing discussion. It lived up to the hype. I mean, I'm sure all the audience also enjoyed as much as we in the panel enjoyed having this conversation. Thank you so much to my distinguished panel, Nagma, Sumit, Kate, for being here, taking time out from across Africa and India and Dubai. Thank you so much to my Masters Union team for organizing this. Thank you to all the lovely, amazing career counselors that joined us and asked your questions. Please keep joining us. We'll have more of these conversations. I'm trying that we curate more of these experiences. Thank you, Anjuji, for your kind message saying thank you for organizing this. I think you keep me motivated in having these discussions and this panel, amazing panel. And students, so ensure that you do not do profile building as tick your boxes kind of an activity. You explore, take your time, be comfortable with failure, be comfortable with asking for help, and don't think that it is your responsibility to know everything under the sun. Not even us here in this panel know everything under the sun. We are all trying to fill our gaps even today, fill the blanks, as somebody mentioned. I think Sumit mentioned filling the blank. And this lovely line, we are all trying to fill. I think the whole life journey for each one of us is filling those blanks and living in the moment. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And from all of us at Masters Union, we look forward to having you and collaborating with you in coming future as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.